Man, absolutely. I mean, as you said, like things aren't just heating up outside, but also here. And LucifroN, he definitely knows how to handle the heat. He's going to be up against B, and B, he's maybe not from the hottest country, but he certainly knows how to throw a wrench into the plans of his opponent time and time again. We're going to be starting off with Sunken Lands, a very interesting map. You see it on ladder all the time at the moment as well. I think it has a fairly great dynamic with it as well. So you start off with relatively little gold early on. You have to expand outside, but there are like these lush corners with a lot of food. Definitely something for at least a Shuri, I want to say, to utilize. But we do have Lancaster here. And Lancaster, we kind of feel like they just like to sit back, get their manas up, mass up a lot of infantry, maybe a fast Imperial Age here or there, and suddenly they push hard. But you never know with B. There might be something fishy coming around here. Maybe we could see some Lords of Lancaster even.
Yeah, and this is the thing about these two. I think these two are two aggressively aligned players, right? LucifroN loves to take his raiding approach. Someone I've been noticing in B is he's actually leaning quite hard on that idea of like dominance in the first 15 minutes, right? Like we've been seeing that KPMMs where he can either just roll them over or you get into those mid-late games and macro takes over, and then all of a sudden, the playing field is a little bit more even. By the way, did you ever notice that the Lancastrian flag looks like a Russian one in disguise?
Yeah, the colors are present. At the very least.
It's clear.
This is put in the washing machine.
I think someone just mixed their paint colors a bit too much, but it's actually interesting with Lancaster, right? Because I think we've seen more players pulling away from Lancaster Castle because it's not always necessary. This feels like one of those map shops where you probably do require it, though, right?
Yeah, early Spearman Rush could definitely get you there. And, HRE, especially on a map like Sunken Lands, where you start off already with like relatively little gold, and all the other golds, they're kind of far outside of your base, you're gonna have to reach for it. And that's kind of an issue when you're locked inside your base and they're like Spearmen at your front. Granted, the House of Lancaster, they can deal with Dark Age rushes, and we can kind of take a look here. We can see that B so far,
crazy.
like just general, that's a very, very healthy win rate here for B in the head-to-head series.
Yeah, he's been looking dominant. A lot of those wins, I think, coming more recently, if I'm not mistaken. But it's interesting to think about, like I mentioned with these two, I think they both like to take that kind of aggressive lean, but the difference is that I think LucifroN is more about the permutations, right? Like how I kind of iron out the creases in the plan and I execute. And I think the thing that can make that a little bit annoying is like when you're looking for clean execution, B is one of the worst opponents, right? Like I've heard it said countless times about this guy. What he just done there, there's clearly no way he planned that, right? Like B is the on-the-fly reactor of Age of Empires 4.
Yeah, that's 100% true. It's like sometimes you just see B come around with a very, very wild strategy that you've never seen before. And it's like, there's no way he practiced that. And then you ask him, like, yeah, it was just something that he just did. I was like, okay, well, tournament, that's the place to try things out, I guess, for him. And yeah, that's how he gets off these wild, wacky games. That's why B is just known for these very creative strategies time and time again. And do have to take into account, though, LucifroN, like the last two head-to-heads that we saw there with B, those were pretty much right after he came back from sort of a hiatus. So KPMM, there, I think, was week 21, so 9 weeks ago. Then the Elite Classic 3 as well. I think that was his first bigger tournament after his hiatus. So it's going to be definitely interesting to see just what kind of form LucifroN is in today, whether we're going to get that classic old LucifroN that we see from like the top 4, top 5 performances from a year or two back.
Yeah, and important to actually point out, compared to like last time with the group stage, this time it's going to be a double elimination bracket. Leading into the knockout bracket, which will be single elim. So you do get second chances here, but a little bit merciless in the opening rounds because the upper and lower bracket beginnings actually are BO3. So we're going to be culling people quite quickly in the early phases of this tournament.
Yeah, it is an interesting format, so definitely exciting ones. Personally, I don't mind best of threes. I think like these, especially beginning rounds, just getting through a lot of sets very quickly can be very interesting for players as well, just like because it escalates very quickly, of course. Like you win one game, suddenly you're already on match point. There's a lot of pressure always to win the set in the end.
Yeah, well, it's a very different art compared to best of fives, right? I think it's the easier way to think about it. And obviously, we've got very different drafting formats. That's why we're now seeing things like HRE actually making it through, China still getting through, Lancaster, because now we've got the ban pick kind of nature, whereas before we had I believe it was double ban on each side, and then we picked, and then we banned again. So we have seen a bit more fluidity. And over time, HRE has kind of, I feel like, been a mixed bag, but Rus has remained a focal point for bans.
Yeah, we're kind of in this fast Castle Age meta at the moment where just Rus, they got such an oppressive Castle Age. They got some very, very strong units there as well. And it just synergizes so well with the civilization. And in a situation where deer are very important as well, just spawning in a deer every less than a minute, it's very, very strong. It looks like we're going to be jumping into our game 1 between Bia and LucifroN in just a couple of seconds here.
Should be an interesting one. I mean, crazy map pool as well. Looks like these boys want to take those raiding maps and exploit them to the maximum. And we kick off with Sunken Lands in game number 1 for the starting phase of EGC Masters Summer. B is going to be in the yellow on House Lancaster, and LucifroN up here in the red as the HRE. And he's already looking to rush forward with a Dark Age Rax opening.
Yeah, B running forward with the scout is going to find some sheep here, but I'm not sure if it's going to be able to find the barracks in time, as LucifroN did rush that one up here. The timing looks pretty good. LucifroN's about to find the gold here. Yeah, he is going to scout around perfectly, so he's going to see exactly where the gold is positioned. Can we take a quick look with the range of the TC as well? Just, is the gold...
Ooh.
Oh. He decides against it.
Wait,
I mean,
but that's like...
that would have been a pretty decent attacking point by LucifroN. He decides against it.
No, but this is because he suspected that Lancaster was going to go for the Dark Age Rush. So he didn't want to be inclined into that, which I think kind of makes sense, right? Like against Lancaster, if you play along Dark and they get to feudal anyway, you just kind of have all this wasted effort when they're going to go Lancaster Castle. And
I think not just that.
Is it the stone?
I think it's also because he saw how many villagers B already had on gold. Like B immediately put like 2 villagers over to stone, which means that at this point in time, even if you go with Dark Age Aggression, there's no real value because you're not going to be able to deny the age up to feudal age. And I mean, in the end, like House of Lancaster, they do have the short bows anyways. So it would have only been like a minimal delay. So I think it's good that LucifroN canceled off here because the gameplay in general just wouldn't have been in his favor.
I think it's like an interesting matchup to think about as well, right? Because as HRE, you get that 40% buffer, but it's kind of capped. Whereas if you play like a long Dark Age and House Lancaster keeps eating sheep, that's a 20% buffer at all times flat, right? So like there is a weird kind of convergence point deeper in the game. But also, like, the interesting part is LucifroN could have potentially found some value, because look at the stone. Both stones spawned forward for B.
Yeah. That's just such a nice map situation to like go for like even HRE outpost rush, which is very, very achievable as well. Like in the current meta, you just get so many resources with the Prelude inspiration early on. It's not really a reason not to go for it in most situations. It's probably the most common strategy that we see at the moment used against civilizations like Byzantines, for example. But of course, always it's kind of dangerous with the House of Lancaster, with the short bows. There's just this added risk just because 5 villagers already going to be able to two-shot your villagers.
No, exactly. Like it's the reason that people learned very early on when they played Mongols, where you don't want to outpost rush the English. You're like, oh, I may have miscalculated the situation slightly. But there are still exposure points here, right? Like I think HRE is an interesting one. I've seen a few players attempt this feudal all-in. It just always feels, even like when you're winning, it feels like it's so expensive to do so against the Lancastrian defenses.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the reasons why I think that, like, that's one of the main points that's actually getting nerfed with the next season as well, right? Like the bonus health with the upgrades, it's getting a nerf on the House of Lancaster Manors. So at least it's gonna make it easier. But the patch is not live yet. We are still gonna have to wait a week or so for the next season to hit. So until then, House of Lancaster, they can still be played very, very defensively.
And even then, I don't know about you, but I have a feeling even if that changes, we're just going to see a lot more of the Lords in play, which I kind of am excited for, a little bit fearful of, because I've already seen players just start to accept that they need to build their manners near the TC. Not ideal, but if you're going for an aggro build anyway, it's extra economy and scaling.
Yeah. Lords of Lancaster are definitely, I want to say, like very underutilized at the moment, but they can become very, very strong just in mass. Boosting up your HP pool by like an additional 20% is incredibly massive. I think the difficult part for most players at the moment is just knowing like how to balance just how many manners you go for when you still open up with the Abbey, just because you don't have like that bonus defense there as well.
No, agreed. And it's tricky because, like, in the heart of hearts, what you want to be able to do is scale Yeoman. But ever since the nerf to the cost, it's just so difficult to do in Feudal Age, even if you have a few manners. And we do at least have the Pro Scouts coming in for the HRE here. No surprise, as one of the deer stacks did spawn forward. I think B is currently trying to address that forward deer spawn, actually, by bringing it home to Papa.
Yeah, one of the things that you won't be able to do in the next patch as well, just deer luring. Do it while it lasts is all I can say to that. And yeah, LucifroN is also going to go for the Pro Scout. But he sees it and is going to be able to deny it and potentially even steal away those deer here nearby. But they are fairly close already to the Lancaster Castle. But yeah, LucifroN now has the ability to one-shot them with Pro Scout research. Gets them all down.
Interesting. I wonder if B just took notice of that. It's like, oh, Pro Scouts, right? It's almost like you kind of revealed the play to your opponent earlier by doing that. But B's already 3 manners in. You know, you don't really have a timing to contest easily, right? Like, your number one choice would be, what, Hobblars? Please, do you really want to be bothered with those?
Yeah, Hobblars, they just always feel so sad. If you don't have any unique upgrades on them, just in a 1-to-1 up against pretty much anything, like even using them up against villagers kind of feels like a joke at times just because they hit, and it's like, yeah, the villager could have done the same amount of damage to you as well.
I think the one place they might be interesting in Feudal is once we do get to the Lord's build, right? Because that 20% does bring them up to the HP pool roughly of like Horsemen. But for now, it's a pipe dream. I mean, the 20%, I'm curious to see how that plays. And I don't know about you, I'm kind of actually enthusiastic about us finally saying goodbye maybe to Lancaster Castle, just a little.
Yeah, it's always nice when both landmarks for Civilization and Feudal Age are viable. This one, though, looks like B, he's just going to be rushing it up to Castle Age now behind this. Now, I'm wondering if this is going to be a White Tower Age up, just because, you know, getting 3 free Earl Scouts immediately is very nice. Also, it's just having that keep immediately, it's very defensive, as we do see B also luring in the second Deer Pack. The only issue with White Tower here on this map is that there aren't really that many golds that you can really utilize it on, though I think B actually has a 4k gold vein, I think, in the back of his base.
Yeah. Oh, yep, there you go. Nice, slapped right up against the edge. I mean, King's College has to be tempting here, though, with a lot of things that HRE want to do when they age up. Yeah, because think about it, right? You're either men-at-armsing or you're going knights, and either one of those can be counterplayed by the King's College and the Collar of Esses tech to make your knights hit harder. And I think, like, anytime you've got the Lancaster Castle, the temptation is even higher, right? Because then you can also get the Demi-Lancers to make that play just so much better.
Yeah, especially when you get, like, the Demi-Lancers, they're very cheap to produce from the Wingard Palace once you get to it. So you get a very, very cheap and easy cavalry counter unit out there. The issue that I see typically is that this King's College kind of leaves you open for aggression as well. Just because now your base, it's fairly open. This is like one of the issue with the Lancaster Castle. It's not a keep. You can't garrison anything inside of it. Your base is full of buildings that can't be garrisoned into. And you're already at a point where you have 30 villagers. If you are in a situation where you're out on the map and your opponent gets like a couple of knights inside of your base, you will lose villagers.
No, I agreed. And I'm wondering actually if LucifroN is just going to now switch into knights himself or just stick spears. I mean, the interesting thought is, like, because you need to go after relics, you probably want to try and have a bit of mobility here. And I think that's also why we're seeing B summon the nobles so early. He's mustering them forward because 5 extra entities able to chase after prelates, that's an easy kill to be found.
And we do have a lot of red dots out on the map at the moment. LucifroN, he is busy gathering up of the deer from the corners of the map. But he does already have 7 spearmen at this point in time. 4 monks as well, 4 prelates.
Oh, the reed.
Yeah, it's going to be quite tough for B to really find any prelate snipes here, I want to say. He might find this one, but he's well defended if LucifroN notices. If he notices...
Yeah, he pulls him back now, but they're already committed, and they're going to get the kill. So 1 prelate goes down. And reminder, this is a high price that LucifroN has paid to do this. He went up to 4 prelates, meaning he sacrificed 3 villages of production to get this timing, but it's paying off elsewhere. We've got 3 relics on the way home, 6 Bambis as well, and B, he may have stopped one of these, but he's bogged down and distracted by the Spearman, which means plenty more is on the way home for LucifroN.
Yeah, and I mean, at the moment, these Demi-Lancers, they're not really that, I want to say, scary at all. Like a Demi-Lancer, you don't mind that one. And if you like get enough Spearmen in here, which LucifroN's obviously doing right now, he is still producing these Spearmen very, very much actively. So, and has to be very careful though. As you mentioned, the mobility right now is in favor of B. Charges are going to come in. One villager is...
Nice pin.
Oh!
He's going to make it 2. No way he gets away with that one. So well played. The deletion's just a little bit long, right? I mean, you have to hold the delete key for a while. And obviously, at first, that realization of what's actually happened. So great striking. And reminder, these are the weak knights. The big manly knights are also on their way from Lancaster that hit over doubly hard.
Yeah, not just that at the moment. LucifroN, he doesn't have veterancy on his Spearman yet. The Knights are starting to really like bite here as well. Grant, they do get a Prelate, and Prelates at this point in time, that's something that LucifroN can stomach losing. He does have the Recknets, can always reproduce Prelates from there. Won't have to bother his poor TC, which is already busy with trying to rebalance his economy now that he's 5 villagers behind, pretty much because of the early Prelate play. We are now also getting veterancy in on the Spearman, but LucifroN has to be so careful because B, he just keeps pumping out these Knights right now. And if the Spearmen get trapped and get, like, just taken down, it's going to be very, very hard for him to remass them in time before B's in his base.
And you can see, he's just trying to tease him out of position here, but LucifroN, the escort mission is real. Problem is, like, technically I think B could win this fight if he just charges in. It's obviously going to be very expensive, which is why he doesn't want to do it. But he knows it's getting too close to the base. So he goes in now. Wallow's going to come out. Nice body blocks there. He can't get in. One more strike needed. He gets it just in the nick of time there. The Knight breaks through. More Spearmen arriving, though, so it's going to be a high price paid. And his own Monk, the pathing is working against him. He cannot reach the Relic. So despite the clutch denial of the Wallow, the Relic is still in LucifroN's control.
And all of this was before veterancy came in on the Spearman. It is going to hit now, so these Spearmen now will do a lot more damage than previously up against the Knights, up against the Demi-Lancers here. But he's going to have to really start thinking about, okay, was this engagement worth it? Because the Relic eventually is still going to be going over to LucifroN now. He does still have his Monk nearby. It looks like he wants to go for it yet again. LucifroN, he's going to be able to bring this one home this time around.
And this is brutal. We have to remember this is Regnitz, Relics, and Fast Imp indeed. 12 minutes he finds his way up. It's funny how sacrificing free villagers to get free prelates really doesn't matter when by 13 minutes you're going to be in Age 4 with 4 TC effective.
And this is not like one of the usual HRE positions as well, where once they go up with the Swabia, they're going to have to immediately go for a farm transition right after. No, LucifroN, he still has a lot of deer to work with. His base is also very well defended, double outpost with the sprinkled emplacement inside, and a relic there as well. So these outposts are going to do a lot of damage, even to armored units here.
I'm getting a little bit worried. We talked about at the start of the series, like B, he definitely likes to try and play momentum off of that first 10-15 minutes. And despite his best efforts here, it feels like it hasn't quite done enough. And with only 8 Knights, there's not a very clear dive point. Now, he's at least spamming into the madness to pad himself. But this is tricky. I don't feel like you can just sit back and do nothing, right? Not against Pastor Swabi scaling. Maybe B tries to rush Imperial himself but that feels a long way away with 500 food income.
It does. He is, however, at least trying to get the sacred sites behind us, so is going to be able to at least somewhat even out the gold income, even just a little bit. 280 gold per minute for him with 2 sacred sites and that one relic that he's gotten in. Compare that, though, to LucifroN, who currently should be sitting on 640 just passive gold income per minute at the moment, thanks to the Regnets, and now also is going to be getting in Devoutness, so his villagers are going to be extra boosted when the inspiration comes through, and even more prelates now getting put up. So, yeah, LucifroN, he's really going to make sure that all of his villagers are going to be inspired here. Though he currently, KP, the food income, he's got a lot of deer, but not a lot coming through.
I guess they need to salt the deer first before we can eat it.
Seasoning is very important.
True. Also, back then they had to because they didn't have refrigerators. You know, that's why salt used to be so expensive and why it suddenly just dropped in price. Fridges. Fridge
I
just
mean,
killed an
that
industry.
and logistic improvements probably, but yeah.
So, Yeoman coming in. B's going to be playing the Age a bit. I guess there's a timing here with Shia Levy. You surely have to find yourself towards Imp in like the next 2 minutes, right? Because like the eco lead is already Luciferon. By the time you'd actually tech up, it's going to be what, 10, 15? Which with the Regnets is definitely better than the Manners.
Yeah, and there's at least B. He managed to get up to 8. Probably soon going to be 9 manners in the span between. Yeah, we are getting the next Levy in as well. So Shia Levy, that's going to be a lot more Yeoman coming in as well. So we'll at least be able to have something up against these Spearmen. Still doesn't feel like that great of a situation for him at the moment, I want to say. But yeah, I feel like he is going to, like, maybe just play, as you mentioned, the Age a little bit. Go with that, mostly just levied Archer Ball. But his game plan definitely has to be Imperial Age, just because Wingard, it saves you so many resources. But LucifroN, he's truly in an economic boom, and now is getting ready to mass some military force as well. We see a lot of archery ranges now getting dropped in. Yeah, pretty much every single economy upgrade behind that getting queued up as well.
Yeah, and you can see he's leaning at a Stilled Arrow, which confirms it is going to be Archers, not the hand cannons, which I like. I think hand cannons is a bit tricky here because Yeoman can actually just stay away from you at all times, right? Even when you've got the marching drills.
Yeah, and with Imperial Age, once you get the range upgrade for the archers in as well, your archers are going to move faster and they're going to have very, very similar range. So the Yeomen aren't going to be feeling all that impressive in that situation. LucifroN right now, he's bunkering up a lot of resources, though. Might be for upgrades, but I think sooner rather than later, he's going to have to invest into some actual military units now as well. As B is right in front of his base with 30 Yeomen, and Imperial Age not too far away from him as well.
Yeah, and looks like he's prepping for Men-at-Arms plus Archer. Interesting comp. Kind of makes sense, though, because you're probably expecting Lancaster to gravitate towards Spear Yeoman. It's kind of their default late-game comp.
Yeah, and you can always just mix in a couple of Spearmen with the Men-at-Arms as well, meaning that your opponent can't really just go for the mass Demi-Lancer idea with the Wingard Palace and just trade even against the Men-at-Arms, or even better.
Can't go for the mass Hobbler strat either. Yeah, that silence says everything. So yeah, 5 archeries, 5 Raxes. I mean, his food income should be good enough to keep up with this as well. And this feels like I'm watching my own gameplay right now. Oh no, I forgot Blacksmiths. Just spam them in the back and just start clicking all the buttons quickly.
Single Yeoman is going to find some villagers in the gold out there. LucifroN, he's not inspiring the gold villagers at the moment, but that's just one of the difficult things, right? Like in the later stages of the game, having your prelates on all of your resources is quite difficult, and now we do see B following it up with his own Imperial Age play. Wingard Palace, but LucifroN at this point in time, almost 30 villagers ahead.
Oh, that's sick. B... Okay, no, it's not sick anymore. He actually... It was a misclick, and I was kind of excited. He queued up Burgundian exports, which is... Or imports, rather, which is an interesting tech. It allows you to get Hankanis in Castle, which is redundant when you go in Imp. But the other thing it would have done is given him a 25% discount, which would have been pretty crafty into like Archer Men-at-Arms. But instead, it looks like he is going to stick to Knights here and go and follow up the Demi-Lancers.
Yeah, Scootage now coming in as well. That's going to even out the gold income by quite a bit as well now. 1 Sacred Side, 1 Relic at the moment, that's 180 gold, but then you're going to go up by 360 gold per minute as well. He is going to be somewhat even then in the passive gold income department.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting, like, LucifroN definitely anticipated the potential for the Spear Spam, right? Which I think is by far the bread and butter of Lancaster going for the Wingard. It's the one that usually can make them look broken because you go from no army to, like, 60 in the matter of, like, 2 minutes. But now, because of that, it's obviously be read ahead. He thought that this was the answer, but it's kind of like that 1-step, 2-step. LucifroN kind of bait and switched here, right? He built 5 archers with 5 archery ranges and then completely stopped.
He's just keeping them ready at the moment. Whenever he needs them, he's got them immediately. Does he have the... He does have veterancy at the very least, I think, on the archery ranges. I don't think he researched...
He doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't have a lead or anything like that.
No, he doesn't even have veterancy. They're feudal archers.
Oh. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so like
I
imagine it's the bait and switch. I mean, and this is rough. I kind of favor B for that detail, right? Because now if you try to go hand cannoneers, Yeoman can just Gatling gun you down from afar, right? Like, it's a bit tricky. It reminds me of, like, the longbow interaction with Hank and Niz, but the difference of Yeoman is, although they don't disintegrate you as quickly, they can stay away from you indefinitely.
Yeah, the man's arm count is getting quite high now at this point in time. We are getting some mass spearmen in now from B, so he's going to have a front line, but doesn't feel that good up against mass men-at-arms now. More knights coming in as well. It feels like at the moment, LucifroN, he just needs one army composition in order to beat what B has at the moment. Elite army tactics also coming in now. So yeah, the men-at-arms, they're fully upgraded, almost.
We do have Padded Jack on the way as well, which is going to be quite nice if you ever get caught with the Yeoman. Just makes you very tanky. And also, like, actually, Spearman can make a lot of sense here for B, right? It means that you don't have to worry about the heavy maces from men-at-arms, and your spears are going to be better at damage exchange, at least against enemy spears. And I think the reason why we always see Lancaster do this comp of, like, Spear Archer is because the minus armor enables Yeoman to actually beat more heavily armored units.
Yeah, LucifroN, he's done a very, very quick farm transition now behind this as well, so food income looking very even to House of Lancaster, which also done a farm transition and has 9 manners behind this, and looks like LucifroN is now just kind of diving in. Honestly, KP, like, he could just start burning down some of the manners here. He's got all the Pierce armor, and B, he's missing out on a lot of the uni uptakes. No incendiary arrows at this point in time, no elite on the airman, and he's only just now getting +3 Pierce damage in as well.
But we have got the Spear Blob coming in. Remember, the Garrison Commander is going to give him a lot of meat to kind of front line this, and the arrow fire over time is going to add up. You're seeing the biggest issue for LucifroN. Like, while he has a lot of staying power, he also has a lot of AFK-ness. Look at that backline of men-at-arms. Half of the troops that are here aren't actually fighting, which is why B is holding for the moment, but it's only a matter of time if a second wave is coming in. And you look at that minimap, and you can see it as clear as day. LucifroN has got a Congo line on its way to B's base.
Yeah, Elite has now come in, +3 Pierce armor damage in as well, but it still feels like you need incendiary arrows in order to really make these yeomen pop up against the men-at-arms here. And yeah, they still take several volleys from all of these yeomen in order to go down. And it's not even that you can really kite them forever, because the men-at-arms, they're still from HRE. They do have that movement speed advantage.
Now, Harsec Cracker, like, the funny thing here is LucifroN in a Congo line is actually more of a Congo line of death. It feels like the boys are coming out a bit too soon. And B, he's stabilized at 50 strong now. And keep in mind, he just done that pre-Yeoman Incendiary. If he reaches that threshold, LucifroN is going to need a dire switch. And you can see he's already rushing now into Horsemen.
Yeah, definitely going to be able to do so as well, though. Look at the food income that he has at the moment, more than almost tripling what B currently has to offer there in that regard. And that's just the power of the HRE economy here. All of these farms, all inspired up, devoutness in. All the economy upgrades has been researched as well. More economy upgrades coming in now as well. And yeah, I mean, B, he does have a lot more room, I want to say, for military, just because he has a lot more villagers, a lot less villagers at this point in time. But
does that feel like this? I was gonna say, does it feel like the trickle of troops approach from LucifroN? Like, it can work, but yeah, could it be a bit like safer to actually prep reserves like he's starting to do now? Because like when he originally done that dove, it was just like nothing in reserve, right? There was like a Congo line, but there was slight gaps. And now we have these shenanigans around the gold. Like, I think the concern is maybe LucifroN feels urgently required to rush to defend again, and then B just keeps scaling this yeoman count.
Honestly, I'm not 100% too sure right now. I mean, I feel like LucifroN, he gained a lot of map control behind all of this, just due to him just, you know, flooding in a couple of men-at-arms now behind this. And he does have a very, very large death toll of men-at-arms now at this point in time. And the thing is that it's going to be very, very tough for the Yeomen to take efficient trades and protect the economy at the same time, because they never want to really, like, face tank. They always have to kite, and the villagers, they're going to be left behind at the end of the day. So the men-at-arms, they can now just kind of, like, you know, annoy the Yeomen, keep them busy, and meanwhile, they're going to start hitting the economy.
And look what's happening as well to the military. The lead's about to be taken by LucifroN. The horsemen have started to litter in, but even before that, the men-at-arms are just carrying through. We still don't have Incendiary, because the issue for B, he was fighting tooth and nail of that gold. He needed it to get the upgrade. It was his only option, unless he wanted to run to the west side of the map. And now without that, it's a long wait until you have that tech up. And by the time you do, LucifroN is going to be fully leveled up with his horseman blob. They're going into Elite now, and I can imagine Biology is not far behind this.
Yeah, the issue is now the Yeomen are going to be back, but there's still just a flood of men-at-arms approaching from pretty much all sides. In front of the Yeomen, there's men-at-arms behind the Yeomen, there's men-at-arms and horsemen now coming in as well.
Oh my god.
And he's struggling. I feel like the villager count hasn't really moved up for him in the last 5 minutes. He's just been constantly stuck at that 64 villager count. We are finally getting the incendiary upgrade now. That's going to take a while for it to come through. B, he needs to really focus on keeping his Yeomen alive in the meantime.
Tricky to do now. You mentioned the fact that eventually you have to guard, right? Because your villagers are going to be exposed, and that's exactly what's happening on the flanks. Farms getting idled out here, which is going to put a stopper in B's ability to reblob quickly. And you're seeing just a lack of raw spearmen to kind of front line for him. The villagers have got barely anywhere to run. Even if they survive this, they haven't got anything to do right now.
Win condition, LucifroN goes up to 200 villagers, forgets about it, and doesn't have enough population to make military.
Meanwhile, B's win condition is, as long as I've got manners, it doesn't matter how low the villager count goes. Right? Right? I mean, is the Lancastrian way. If I got up to 150 yeomen, I don't care how many horsemen you build. We're not quite there yet, though, and the villagers, once again, are paying the price. There's another 10 down the drain. And I think at this stage, he's just going through the motions.
Yeah, the men-at-arms just don't even care about the Yeomen for the most part. It's always just about keeping a couple there, keep them running around, while the majority of the units, they're just trying to go after villager kills, and very effectively so. 28 villagers have been killed so far, and LucifroN, honestly, at this point in time, slowly but surely, he can start looking towards these manors where, sure, there's a landmark which boosts them up significantly, but it might just not even be enough against this large mass of very heavily armored units against the arrow fire here from B.
And once again, just on those farms, blocking him. I mean, B, it looks like it's being competitive with food, but you have to remember most of that is because of the manners. That's the only reason he really has an economy to speak of anymore. Any other Civ really would be dead at this stage. This is the only one that would sit here and go, oh, I've still got like, at 1.3k worth of gathering in my economy.
He can produce a unit here and there, but man, HRA at this point in time, like just looking at the economy, we're talking about like 7,500 resource per minute at the moment for LucifroN. Meanwhile, B, he's hovering at a third of that, roughly a third.
So the HRE nerfs were or are going to be justified.
5% is going to be huge.
I mean, in fairness, like if he's got, let's ignore the gold. Like wood and food alone, right? 6,000 income, and let's say we take 5% off that. It is a decent haircut. That's 300 less resources a minute. That's 1.5 rounds less in the late game Crackety per minute. Yeah. It's definitely gonna fix it.
This is rough now. This is one of the situations where it's like, you kind of need to attack the HRE when they're in Imperial Edge while being in cast stage yourself. Mm-hmm. And it's much more doable nowadays as well, since trebuchets have just become a lot stronger in that role. I feel like B, maybe he thought, okay, maybe with Wingard I can make units that can kind of like keep up. But now look at what LucifroN's doing. We're getting 5 mangonels and adjustable crossbars in queue.
And it's a good breed as well, because like if this drags out long enough and B just keeps blobbing spears and yeomen, that means he'll eventually be able to afford the gunpowder contingents, which means he'll have an answer to the men-at-arms, right? Be able to get the Rortiquants. So that's like several minutes away, and that's why LucifroN continues the urgency and the switch over. And well, with 4 relic Regnants, you can definitely afford it. You can definitely justify it.
Yeah. These mangonels, they're gonna really pack a punch now. We're also getting the university upgrade behind it, so we'll also have some bonus HP on those mangonels. They're gonna be very tough to take down, and he doesn't really have any unit that can just run through and take a bite out of these mangonels. And theory, hill training, he could get up a lot of hobblers very quickly. And they do quite well with their charge ability as well, when it comes to taking down those mangonels. It's just the economy for it. Food's there, but gold access, definitely not.
Yeah, he's going kind of hammer. LucifroN queues up 6 more mangoes. So taking this to the extreme, I guess the idea is just to reveal them all at once, and then the overwhelming firepower is worth the risk of like getting counterplayed. Because obviously, B, he can't prep to counter what he can't see.
Sacred Side Victory now also approaching. LucifroN already reinforcing those outposts on the Sacred Sides with some upgrades as well, so he's going to get some cannon placements on them. And yeah, he's just constantly pop capped 200 out of 200. First couple of mangonels are going to be out and are now going to get revealed to be. He's just going to notice that they do already have adjustable crossbars on him. He's going to start splitting up his, or rather spreading out his yeoman now.
Yeah, scaring him back. More mangoes coming means harder for you to dodge reliably. And this is only the first wave, mind you. Once a few more population spots actually free up, LucifroN has queued 10 mangoes in reserve. This is ridiculous.
Oh, man. And behind that, 25 more men at arms. The second you kill one more are going to be coming out. LucifroN, he's just glued at the maximum population count. As behind us, he's also raiding with horsemen.
Just delete 60 workers right now. Come on. Like, you'll immediately refill with military. This is ridiculous. He's still queuing up more reserve mangoes. 11. That's like, was it 6,000 plus resources? 6,600 resources he's stockpiled up in mango production.
The thing is, they're just never going to come out because they take 3 population spots, and B's just not going to be able to kill 3 units at the same time. And it's just going to be more horsemen and more men-at-arms.
This is ridiculous. You know, the funny thing is, like, this was needed for anyone sitting here going, oh, man, it's one of those situations. Like, we have players, right? Players who don't like to call GG early. I don't really say B's one of those type of ones. I think he's willing to call it if there's not an obvious way out. But that's what Lancaster does. Lancaster always makes you feel like there's a way out of the inevitable. Maybe not this time.
At this point in time. This time around, just make no mistake, there's just such a big economy advantage now for LucifroN. We're getting more and more production buildings in. Yeah, I don't see a way. Now that the Yeoman mass has been flattened as well, we went from 50 now down to 22 Yeoman. And we talked about these guys have become so expensive that it's just not really feasible when it comes to remassing them time and time again, especially now that B has been pushed into this corner with very limited wood access soon as well.
Yeah, he'll have the infinite passive wood, but that only goes so far, and a reblob requires a lot more than you can have access to. LucifroN is up to 13 mangoes. Please, just delete 20 workers more.
He deleted 10.
No, let's delete another 20. I think you'll be okay, son. If you somehow get through that queue of 15 mangoes and the game isn't over, like, Kim's Kismet, right? It was destined.
Oh, man. Silk Bowstrings now coming in as well. A little bit more range on these Yeomen is going to help them for sure, but we know it. At this point, it's just not going to be enough. The first wave hasn't been defeated yet. Wave number 2 is already coming in behind all of this. Just more and more men-at-arms spearmen, while they do debuff the men-at-arms. It's just not enough to really make a dent here. Court Architects coming in, more reinforcements coming in on the outpost. So these Sacred Sites, they're going to be thoroughly locked down. No way in hell is B going to be able to recapture any of those.
Yeah, and LucifroN, he just role-played America solving their poverty issues. He's like, if we spent a little bit less on these giant weapons of mass destruction, maybe we could actually house a few more people. I say that. He went down to 3 extra mangoes in queue, and he's once again just, through instinct, started queuing them all again.
My mangonels didn't come out. Something must have gone wrong. Cancelled.
My button must be broken.
But GG comes in, and LucifroN, he's going to be able to take game number 1.
What a way to do it as well. HRE versus Lancaster. I gotta say, actually, this has been one of the most consistent matchups, delivering those hyper late, crazy game states. I've been seeing it a lot in Gorge. We're now seeing it here on Sunken Lands. Like, these two civs, when they clash, I mean, it really shows you why HRE has remained a desirable ban and why Lancaster keeps rising in people's relevance as the weeks have been going on. Like, these two civs are, I think at this stage, like, easily top 5 on the rankings.
Yeah, I mean, both of these civilizations are the ones that you kind of feel like you can't leave them alone, because if you leave them alone, they're going to outboom you. Looks like HRE is the one that you definitely can't leave alone.
No, and you know, it's a tricky one right now, right? Because like you don't want to let people get Roos either. And I think the interesting thing is, like, in a way, LucifroN got a very big edge on the draft from that perspective, is that between them they drafted Carmel and Sunken Lands. That is a Roos haven. It's a powerful civ on both this map and the next one. So for that reason, LucifroN then having the first pick, just cinching HRE, it just gives him a huge edge. And you can't underrate the value of those edges, especially when you're talking about best of threes.
Yeah, next one. I mean, China up against Zhuji on Carmel. KP, what are the chances of pro scouts here?
So I would guesstimate the chances of pro scouts is probably about 69%, and then you'd have to add on like another 32%, well, minusing 4% and then adding 400%.
And sum total is going to be 200%, because in this matchup, there's just no way that not both of these players are going to eventually go for that pro scout play. Honestly, Zhuji against China, I think, is quite interesting, because it's very much the same civilization, but different power points in the game. So Zhuji, they advance a little bit earlier. They have to make their imperial officials themselves, though, so the scaling is a little bit better for China. China gets a little bit more taxes. Zhuji gets the meditation garden. It's all a little bit of a give and take, but it means that Zhuji typically have a leg up when it comes to the kind of like timing points when they aggress. Yeah. Meanwhile, China, if they're able to survive, they're able to stabilize, they should, in theory, be able to mass more units consistently and just overall have the better economy in the end.
Yeah, and it's interesting on this map. When Carmel first came out, Zhuji seemed to have the edge because of that timing around Lancers after the Pro Scouts and the spam, right? Very uncomfortable map, but I think players have gotten very good at defending on this map. And I've noticed recent weeks, China's kind of taking the lead on the win rate in this clash, at least in comp games. It seems to be that they move towards the spear crossbows earlier, understanding that with the amount of food you get in early for Pro Scouts, there's not as much urgency to move series. Game number 2, ready and on your screen. And it is one of the closest possible in competitive AoE4 to a mirror matchup. In the red, it's going to be LucifroN on the Shushi, and across the ways, it's going to be 3D Clans B as the Chinese cousin.
Man, KP, I gotta say, every time I see this with China and Zhuji, and both players are guilty of this, I get a little bit scared, because both players, they do decide to build their mill away from their TC. LucifroN a little bit further even than B, and this is the kind of situation where if you get caught out and your opponent just sees that mill out there, it is so much easier to raid than compared to if it just was right next to the main TC.
I'm disappointed. I was really hoping you were going to point out how great that location looked for a Barbican drop.
You can. The issue is that with Pro Scouts, you take the dead animal and you put it somewhere else.
Damn it. Okay, so what you're saying is we need the Barbican to have like an inhibit mode where it stops people picking up things near it.
I wonder if you garrison a scout with Pro Scouts, I think it still carries the deer.
Wait, if you garrison what? A Pro Scout with Pro Scouts?
Yeah, a scout with who's carrying a deer with Pro Scout.
You
should still be carrying the deer. So you could, in theory, like in LucifroN space, you could village hop the scouts over in case of a Barbican drop and hop them out on the other side, still carrying the carcass.
Oh, I see what you mean now. For a moment, I genuinely thought you were recommending that the game added the ability to stack units on top of each other, like children trying to hop on each other's shoulders and fight in the playground. I would have totally been for that as well. I also, I gotta say, I know what Pro Scouts needs to actually make it much more engaging. We should have the ability to abduct the other Pro Scouters. So when they pick up a deer, you pick up them and then run that back to your base.
Oh, it's like these trucks that are so big they carry more trucks. But looking at the game right now, something that definitely we do have to note here is that B, he's been a lot more lucky when it came to the sheep situation here. He's getting a lot more sheep back to his base, and that means that LucifroN, he's gonna really have to give it his all when it comes to the Pro Scout timing here. Because if he doesn't manage to get it, that's a great meditation garden though. That's a nice one.
You know what? The outrage. I can't believe you'd suggest that the sheep rotation was luck, crackety. All right, the meditation garden spawn is luck, but the sheep game is pure skill, as everyone knows.
Everybody knows. There's never been a situation where sheep were RNG in the game, and everybody's ever complained about sheep RNG clearly just hasn't done their scout practice.
Yep. Like you need to just when you're in a game, you just need to use. They added like ever since they added voice to the game. I don't know why people don't do this. It's like echolocation. You just need to like bah into the microphone and then wait and listen for the responses. If you don't get any responses, it's because you aren't bang loud enough. Especially test this in team games, and eventually you'll be a master of sheep.
I wish we had voice channels with our enemy team as well.
Oh
Imagine
god,
just
yes.
being in there and soundboarding the sheep sound all the time.
That's something I always am envious of. With when battle royales have the like proximity chat.
Oh yeah.
I mean, usually, like, as a streamer, I shouldn't like that because a lot of the things being said would get me banned on the website by the people I kill. But, it's like, it's sort of fun and enjoyable to see.
It's such a nice feature in theory. All right, but now both players have gone up to feudal age. We do see B slightly pulling ahead now with the villagers, but that's just due to having the Imperial Academy and being able to produce Imperial officials out of that, on top of just not needing to idle out your town center. LucifroN, though, is going to get a little bit of additional economy from his meditation garden, so it's a little bit of a give and take situation there. He's going to be getting a good amount of gold. Double gold veins means that he's getting 50 gold per minute there, plus 36 food per minute from the berries there. So overall, very, very good resources here for him. Definitely the ones that he will want to have as well. And should be very soon queue up the... There we go. Pro Scouts is going to queue it up now. What's B doing? Because he is not gathering wood.
This is a fast castle build.
It appears to be. It's a little bit of a gold-heavy one.
Yep. Very gold-heavy one when you consider, like... Actually, no, he's only sticking 2 taxmen, right? So he was worried about being attacked? Because, like...
He's just going to try for an even faster castle age and...
Okay, but then what? Right? Like, because you like if you think about what you do in castle, a lot of the options require a lot of gold, right?
Now the thing is, you're up against Juji, so they're not going to have a Barbican, so you're only going to be up against one hand cannon placement, in theory. You still don't want to go knight, so you might just want to spam palace guards very quickly.
Interesting. PG spam here. Not something I like. Shushi we see it a lot from, right? I feel like China actually very rarely goes for the PG spam in castle these days.
Yeah, it's just now that everybody's going for like the fast castle, I feel like it's just a very, very explored strategy at this point in time. It makes it very difficult, but there we go. Yeah, Imperial Palace is coming up now. Now B needs to pull a lot of villagers over to wood as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get a barracks up in time. The issue as well is that he didn't make villages. He started off with houses. So he doesn't have a lot of excess population space. The thing is, if you open up with a village, you're going to get 40 population space, which means that even if you go for like fast castle age, you don't immediately need a house or anything like that.
Yeah. Whereas it feels like what he's doing here is going hyper aggressive, right? Like the idea being is that, I only need villages if I'm being dove. So definitely feels like B is trying to really lean into that early mid-game transition. If, however, LucifroN survives that bout, I start to become a little bit concerned because, as you mentioned, like there's just no garrison slots. Like at this stage, half of B's economy would have nowhere to hide from a raid.
Yeah, LucifroN, though, he is going to go into Spearman, so I hope that B realizes what must be happening and doesn't go for a stable, but rather a barracks. The timing, though, might be closing in fairly soon. He doesn't have a production building out yet, and yeah, we do see LucifroN going for an out... Never mind, he does cancel the outpost. Goes for the outpost instead on his mill, because he does realize, yeah, that's a little bit of a fairly easy target there. Oh, it's a stable. Oh, man.
Oh. Okay, so, I mean, you can stop the pro scouts, sort of, but... Like this... this is quite the sacrifice. How many sheep does B have?
Enough? Maybe?
Enough to survive 4 minutes? Or like, oh, okay, no, that's pretty good. He's sitting at 21 sheep, which is pretty impressive when you consider that obviously he began this game by not going pro scouts. Like you mentioned, the rotation was good. I just didn't think it ended up being that good.
It was just that good, but yeah, we do have the night play out now, which is already completely discounted by the spearmen out on the field from LucifroN. And now the entire time it just doesn't matter anymore. LucifroN, he's soon going to be able to hit Castle Age as well.
Yeah, and you've wasted effort here, right? Like, you can try to transition to unit type, but you've already spent 150 wood, and now you have to go across lumber camp. Like, it's this weird kind of shift. So I imagine, like, maybe B could treat this as sort of a bait, maybe? Like, what? Just open lances, expect more spears, and then switch PG?
Getting an archer range next. That's going to be another, like, difficult unit composition switch, and now there we go. Castle Age is coming in.
So is this archers then? I mean, there's no reason to build crossbows, right? It's just going archer lancers.
You can't really go crossbows with the amount of wood that he is on. He's on a fixed income at the moment.
And yeah, it makes sense as well because, like, although he's got the sheep, like, you won't have that longevity to go for the more food-heavy things. But I could see this kind of working in a weird way, right? It's like if your opponent goes spear crossbow, then you can just, like, zerg archers. Kind of interesting that B didn't begin with this, though. Obviously, wanted the shock and awe, but when you think about the way that China dominates with archer play, it's normally off the back of the feudal presence.
Now the issue as well is the scaling right now. It's not really going inside of B's favor. He doesn't have Song Dynasty yet, and there hasn't been really any economy damage. And LucifroN, like the entire, I want to say, benefit that you get as the economy with the Chinese is kind of just completely offset by LucifroN having deer access. Though he did manage to actually kill 2 units here, 2 villagers. Did go down.
Good start. And well, he's got plenty more lances where that came from. I wonder if B's going to be moving towards Monk soon as well, considering the map control he has.
We are starting to see more and more archers coming out. LucifroN, though, now also starting to pump out his own lancers behind this. He's doing a great job of just keeping LucifroN's army on the move the entire time and just opening up more and more positions for him to raid.
Yeah, you can see on the backside, actually, B is hugging the edge of the map, trying to blend in with our map trim. So he's circling like a shark, but unfortunately for him, LucifroN hit the jackpot on this spawn with that tree line. Just look how well defended it is. It spawned into itself.
Yeah, and he does also have that outpost, so might have still even been able to spot out these lancers. And now, yeah, the spearmen are gonna reconvene in the base. He's gonna be able to find a couple of scout kills there.
We'll scare them off. I mean, it's still a decent amount of food, though. Like, what, 7 deer, I think, underneath this? He's going to start trying to harass and idle out, but against this many spears, B has to wait for the reinforcements. Now, another thing to keep in mind is, like, B, if he has any raids coming towards him, it's going to be almost impossible for LucifroN to sneak in unnoticed. That's the whole point in this Imperial Palace build. But it does mean if we get into that tug-of-war deep state of the game, where it's infantry comps, you're sorely going to miss the nest of bees. And, yep, pro scouts at 10 almost 11 minutes.
Yeah, and it makes so much sense now, right? Because LucifroN, he's been very much focused on his own deer. Pretty much all the deer on the side of B are still there.
It's crafty. And, you know, it forces LucifroN into a hunkered down state, right? We talked about how Shushi likes to open this matchup up. It is by massing the lancers, having the edge. Instead, he's had to be reluctant. He's built 21 plus spears because of this pressure from B.
So now he's finding himself in a pretty weird army composition. In theory, just making lances now could beat out pretty much anything that B has, but B wouldn't need a lot of time, just thanks to his supervision, to remass into some crossbows as well.
Yeah, I wonder, are we going to be getting the monastery? There it is. It's coming in now on the backside, so we'll be looking towards the relics. It just makes sense because he still has map control. And he needs to be fast about it because the window is quickly closing here with the Lancer production rate about to exceed B's.
Yeah, 5 Lancers now in queue. And I mean, in the end, like, who do you prefer in a French on French mirror? Is it the one that makes Knights and Spearmen or the one that makes Knights and Archers? Typically, it tends to be the one that makes the Knights and the Spearmen.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing we talked about in the pregame, right? Is like, usually China tries to make it about the static comp. It's very weird and polarizing to see the shoe on the other foot here. And there's a lot of belief that Shushi should be the one that wants to be Mass Lancers because of things like the extra attack speed. Now, you know, we're both on the same bench, right? We believe that attack speed is not really worth the 20% it appears because of the way that melee fights work. But it's still usually enough to give Shushi just that slight edge in what seems like a close to, as you can get, mirror.
Yeah, as long as the fight goes on for a little bit, it does start to really pull ahead there for Zhuji. And, I mean, the question is this going to be a fight that's going to really last? Potentially. Potentially. But we do now have B just getting in more and more of these pro scouts. And he is the only one currently out on the map gathering up the relics. And yeah, I mean, with the scaling factor coming as well, being able to do good damage in between with some raids means that LucifroN's actually the one that really has to do something very, very soon here now.
And the gold's a little bit worrisome. Remember, this is the thing with Carmel. You only get those small gold veins, so you move out your base quick. And usually this is where China has a bit more of an edge, right? Is they have a lot more passive gold income because of the double taxation and the fact they build the extra taxmen early. And on top of that now, because they're going to have the relic edge.
Yeah. At least LucifroN did manage to get like half a relic in with that meditation garden, so 50 gold per minute definitely coming in clutch here. B now also adding in his own spearman. Tri-composition is going to be very hard for LucifroN to switch into at the moment. He's got a ton of food floating, but not a lot of wood income, so... And even if, like, he can only make Shuganu, he can't make archers.
Yeah. And, you know, there's in this matchup, it feels a little bit cursed, right? Because of the Nesta Beast threat, right? Yes, both do have vulnerability. Archers died in Nesta Beast as well, but the Shuganu just feel so impossible to dodge with against that threat. And, well, the big threat is also approaching beyond that. This map,
we do have another raid coming in.
Not just that, the raid's coming in, but while he's doing this, there's a simultaneous move by B out into the center of the map, anticipating that LucifroN will have to react to that raid.
Looks like he doesn't want to go for it immediately, though. And yeah, he does get spotted out by a scout there, out on the pro scout.
Yeah, he goes
so that
safe.
at least buys LucifroN some time to remove his military inside of his base.
Interesting. I mean, B, you know, normally when you go for the big 8k, you're thinking about keep drop. Too early for that, right? But he could have actually went for a Barbican. Lancers! Oh, my.
Go down.
Fortunate it wasn't a lot more than that, actually. I think it ended up... Wait, was that more. 5? That looked like 5 dead horses, actually. There's quite a lot there.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, in the woodline, actually, there are a couple more dead bodies there. No, it's
4.
Wait,
4.
is it 3,
yeah,
4?
It's 4.
Looks like 4. 4 horses. Sometimes it's actually difficult as they decompose to tell apart which one's the horse, which one's the rider.
Yeah, we need to do a tournament where we have the bodies never disappear mod on. And if we get to the hyper late game, the winner is whoever has the better PC, really, because the other person's going to crash.
At some point, you just start deleting units in order to make your opponent's PC crash.
No, that was a strategy back in the olden days, the golden era of RTS's, Crackety. I still remember playing Red Alert 2 and using people's flat cannons against them to crash their PCs. Which...
Oh, more raids coming in.
In fairness, by the way...
some villagers.
Yeah, tickles them down, walks out the other side. And by the way, the crashing strat wasn't great. I guess you could call it a draw, because I did crash as well.
You win, but at what cost?
Yes, I'm just that guy that detonates the nuke while I'm still in the room. Hello.
Looks like LucifroN's now going to go aggression as well. B already has almost 30 spearmen. That happened in like a blink of an eye.
That's crazy. And now the archers, I mean, they should be able to trade out against spears quite well here. But you also have defender's advantage. Lancers just not finding those easy targets, but they do have the raw meat to them that should allow them to sustain for quite a while here.
Is he able to power through?
It's spinning fast. B, where the hell are the rest of the troops here? He's not moving the archers away. No, they're just standing still. Lancers are going to ride, but there's still spearmen in tow to hold that. So archers are just going to target fire the remaining spears down. So it's going to be a wipe at the chessboard on both sides. And can you guess what they're going to build next? The exact same things.
Yeah, more of the same. We're getting more spearmen, more archers in. LucifroN behind the stone managed to at least get a little bit of some wood income going here. So in theory, has the option of going for, well, not granaries, since he's not Song Dynasty yet, but he could make a farm switch or even switch into Jugunu. Yeah, I think farm switch probably more needed here at this point in time, as he didn't have as many sheep as Deer had. More raids coming in on both sides now.
Oh, B's not paying attention. Yeah, he pulls back because the front side's being poked out as well. So LucifroN, he's getting into that comfortable phase. Like, we haven't really been able to see it so far. LucifroN looks best when he's a raiding party. And finally he's able to start doing that.
The archers, he's finally finding the archer kills.
Mm-hmm. He's cleaning up the few spearmen that are just trickling out one by one. I mean, this is the value point. When that big fight began, you have to remember, 1 lancer to 1 spears, it's not actually that great for the spearmen, especially when you have your own spears muddied in to just clash. So LucifroN just showing you exactly why Shushi love their lancers so much.
This has been a ginormous back and forth so many times here now in this game. At the beginning, it kind of felt like B was throwing it. Then it felt like he somehow outclassed LucifroN with the gameplay, with the game plan, and now LucifroN just able to take the better trades with the Knights against a theoretical counter with the Mass Spearman from B.
Yeah, and remember that this is while B has 5 relics as well. Like, economically, he should be far ahead, but now he is just getting completely disintegrated. LucifroN, a strike on the flank, intercepts the Pro Scouts and finds the ball. He's still ready in the tree line. He's poking at the front side. He is in full Rainer's Raider mode.
We do have behind all of this the switch up now into Jugunu. Still more raids coming in from LucifroN up against B. He's kind of throwing away the Knights at this point in time, but he is still getting good economic damage in while he is preparing the counter unit. Yeah, he's got to... Oh my god, he's got to pull the villager. He's got to pull the ships now.
He's not even pulling away, is the crazier part. The Lancers, they are just standing their ground in this. It's hard to see amongst all the deer carcasses, but there's plenty of red belonging to LucifroN, and it is leading to a substantial lead. He's now up by 8 villagers. He still has control of the central gold, but now he's switching into repeater crossbowmen. Can he make this tricky switch work? With the forward archer ranges, you got to be feeling inspired, but he does need to remember to get that veterancy sorted ASAP.
And all of a sudden, the pace of the game has just increased by a ton. And now we're actually getting to the point where B, once again, is starting to produce lances here. LucifroN now mass pumping out those Jugunu. Can he get enough out in time, though, is the question. And he's not veterancy yet. He is lacking the gold for it, but he is on the large gold vein in the middle. That also means that this is contested territory now.
Just feels like it's going to be a tug-of-war over this. I mean, the benefactor is LucifroN, who's actually actively gathering gold here. And the crazy thing is, despite that bloodbath, the ridiculous of it, it is just a case of, like, we're looking at a 6 villager difference. It's not crazy.
Yeah, but 10 relics, 5 relics, they do kind of make up for just about 10 villagers here. This front still doesn't have veterancy in on those Jugunu. Not able to really pack a punch now. Archers in mass are definitely able to do a good amount of damage up against the Knights, but Jugunu in mass without the upgrades, not so much on the other side.
Now you got to be wondering, as they switches more and more into range on both sides, Nestabes could come on the menu. If China had gone for the clock tower build, it'd be an obvious and easy play, but without it, you do tend to feel a little bit squishy, especially with both sides still spamming lances.
Yeah, we are at least now getting the veterancy in. LucifroN also supervising that with the Imperial official there at the front side. And with Mount Lu Academy, chances that he is getting that one in at lightning speed. So we'll at least get the upgrade in very quickly. It's going to be in time for the next fight. Doesn't have +2 pierce damage in yet, though. So that's another upgrade that he's going to be lacking for the time being.
Yeah, kind of crazy to think that he's struggling to get through into the gold tax when he has the 8k in his purview. But it just shows the difference that all this passive gold is making for B. It's pretty ludicrous at this stage. You're getting, what, 600 passive gold a minute? Well, more than that with tax.
Has the sacred side control, so that's going to be even more passive gold income. At the moment, he's starting to go onto all of these exposed economies, onto both boards from LucifroN, which he is on. I don't think there are any outposts there.
No, he's going to hit the south one first. He's moving to the north now while this clash is going on, which means it's less likely that LucifroN is even going to notice he's being struck at. Does get in the outpost in time. And B, at this point, kind of just wants to brute force it just to keep distractions going. He's going to raid on the north side now. There are outposts in place, so that's going to minimize the losses, but extra villagers means extra to be exhausted. And it's coming at a cost in the center here. LucifroN is getting plowed through and cut down. B will lock us in place for a game number 3.
Man, what a masterclass coming out here from both players. Such an APM heavy game. And I mean, in the end, it really looked very much back and forth time and time again here in this one. And we're actually so back and forth that the scores at the moment, well, not scores, but like the economy graphs at the moment are mixed up. It was not LucifroN with the 5 relics. That was B in the end. And yeah, it was just, to be fair, China and Shuji, they're very difficult to separate here in this one. There we go. This is it's amazing just how great the food advantage was for B, considering he didn't open up with Pro Scouts. That was absolutely insane how that game scaled.
I think what this was a wake-up call to how Pro Scouts, yes, it's strong, but it isn't the world. Or at least, you know, it doesn't have to be rushed straight away for it to be the world to you. I love the fact that he leveraged that variable sheep to just get a timing that otherwise wouldn't be there. And, we've seen how effective China can be with this in different ways, like the Archer Mass Rush into delayed Pro Scouts, this time the Fast Castle into delayed Pro Scouts. It just shows you that sometimes letting your opponent go first into Deer can actually sign their death warrant. And although it wasn't immediately apparent here, you have to remember what happened because of those details. Like you said, B still got all of his deer. On top of that, he managed to secure 5 relics, which really did make the difference in this game after LucifroN entered Raider mode.
Yeah, I feel like if LucifroN knew what B's game plan here was, he could have just hunkered down instead of just going up with like 5 scouts. He could have maybe went to 10, maybe even 14 scouts for the pro scout play. In that situation, you're able to actually deny your opponent effectively the deer. But if you only go for 5, it's not really feasible, especially on a map that has just so many deer to take not just your own, but also those from your enemy.
I think it's something like 58 deer on Carmel. So there's no such thing as too many scouts for a pro scout player there. But this is going to be fireworks. I love this matchup. Ottomans versus Malians. A little bit of a classic about a year or so ago. I think when Prairie was being competitive in particular, and then fell off the radar, mainly because Ottomans weren't being picked. But now we get to see Ottos on one of the signature players with this Civ.
Yeah, and I feel like Ottoman, they can feel very, very much underestimated, especially in this matchup. It leads to some very aggressive and active games, and we're just going to be jumping right into it. This is going to be match point now between B and LucifroN. 1-1 each in a best of 3, so these are very active sets. And here we go. Game number 3. We got the Malians in for LucifroN up against the Ottomans from B. And are we going to see... There it is. Immediate Dark Age aggression as we love it. Barracks coming in. Spearman getting queued up. No hesitation.
Oh, yes. You've got to milk it while it lasts, folks, because in the very soon future, we will see the end to the deer shoves. A big part of why Ottomans feels good for this Rax Rush, but against Malians as well, you can go after that gold. Let's see what they can do. LucifroN, of course, with the Malians B, just has been a staple this Ottomans, actually. Like, it's interesting. The start of the year, B really carved out a name for himself in our weeklies with, like, Japanese. The pick was synonymous with him. But in more recent times, it has been the Ottomans. And it's been such good time to become known as an Ottoman main with the arrival of these point of interest type maps, but also, even on the classics, the Dark Age deer shove meta.
Yeah, B went for a very aggressive scouting pattern here as well, went behind his opponent's base, and he is able to guesstimate where the gold location is based on the information that he's gotten there. He sees the gold wasn't in the back, wasn't in the side, and now it has to be in the front side. But look at that, LucifroN.
Oh,
you
yes.
called it sometimes before as well. Like, we do have this player. I think it was Puppy Paw that probably did it first. I want to say at the very least, opening up here with the mill after building an outpost in order to defend the pit mine.
I caught Poppy Paw practicing this months ago on the ladder. He'd done it against Louis MC. He was using HRE in that particular game. So the idea is you rush the outpost, but building an outpost is terrible here, right? Like, you don't want to idle 2 villages here forever. You don't need to. You just club that sheep, you build a mill that's fine to be there because you'll eventually build cattle and walk them elsewhere anyway. And it just denies any value for your opponent. And there we go. Mill is going to be coming in now. Now, this isn't the end of everything for B. It's not GG and cry tears and tell daddy that you need him to beat up the other guy's dad. You now just walk home and you get pro scouts for free.
Exactly. And the thing as well is that you only need 2 spearmen per deer pack. If you got the NPM for it, you can start shoving in both deer packs at the same time with 4 spearmen.
Not gonna lie, I'm a little bit shocked I saw B walking east because I've watched this guy successfully in a tournament series deer shove the enemy's deer across to his base.
Yeah, I mean, that can happen. It's very frustrating when it does, but it can happen.
The most ridiculous one is when he done it on Regions, a map that spawns the deer almost in your base, actually. It's so close. He'll play it safe this time. I think, is he scanning around the back now, so he'll see the second deer? Like, with the scout, I mean, if he feels like he's done everything he needs to on the map in terms of scouting, he's going to have 5 entities to deer shove with. And with that tree line, it's pretty easy peasy, right? You could leave, like, 3 here, and then use 2 on the southern deer, and just push them towards the trees.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to shove in the first deer pack here. LucifroN is going to be wary of this, though. I'm not sure if he scouted this, so might not see the deer move in the fog of war. Twin Minaret Madras now also coming in for B. Manza Quarry, same age-up timing here, even though B was the one that invested into 4 Spearmen. LucifroN only investing into an outpost.
I mean, in fairness, right, he had the pit mine as well. So there is kind of a staggered investment. You can even see it in the housing. So that's why it kind of like maybe seems crazy at first when you think, oh, wow, he built 4 spears got the same time. But it's because Malians like to pad their economy. Now, it looks like the deer are starting to get a little bit lamed. He almost ends up losing the scout, though. That's the tricky part. This is why at least 3 spearmen is a really good way of sealing the deal, right? Because like at that point, you can keep deer shoving with 2 and chasing with 1. In this case, with 4, I'm surprised LucifroN got any deer kills without dying.
He's doing a good job there. B also trying his best in order to deny the scout from actively killing off any of these deer. LucifroN is going to go for it again, but the scout is very weak. You have to be so careful also not to run even close to TCS. At this point in time, even the default arrow shot can do significant damage to you, but looks like LucifroN, yeah, he's trying it, but he's got to realize at this point in time that B's onto him.
Yeah, so he'll let it go back in. I think it was 4 deer in the end, right? So, like, not too bad. B gets some value out of it. A minimum Madrasa is going to give him that extra food extension. I really like that we're moving back towards Madrasa, actually. I think we had a bit of time where people were locked into Trade Network, and the issue with Trade Network is I think it made you a bit more linear, whereas the food was substantially more valuable, whether you were being greedy or playing the age.
Look at that. Pro Scout now coming in from LucifroN immediately. So we are going to get some professional warrior scouts coming in here.
I wonder, B. Could this just be... Would you FC here as Ottomans?
FC makes a lot of sense in most situations for the Ottomans, I want to say. Mainly because like immediately skipping a feudal age, probably the weakest point in the game for you, is already like a very, very big incentive. And then you're just going to be able to scale into the things that actually help you out. Just getting in the relics, which is going to be very important for the Ottomans, as their main unit that they want to have in fights, Janissary, is going to cost a lot of gold. So getting the relics in there, definitely one of the main priorities. Also scaling with military schools, and of course the biggest win condition in the game for the Ottomans, the Imperial Age, and just pumping out all those free units nonstop. The question is, can you really afford to do that up against the Malians? Because you can kind of like allow them to go for the cattle boom. Though it looks like LucifroN, typically when you go for pro scouts, you're not going to be looking for a Fulani, but rather for Imba type play.
Yeah, and I like this. B, he started to queue up Sipahi. There is an interesting dive point in mind here. Actually, I believe we had this matchup just recently in the midweek musters between, I think it's B and Anatand. And similar map where pro scouts felt really good. And he just played like mass Sipahi plus Archer Flood into just greedy Malians, right? In theory, you're saying like it's nice because if you play for Castle Beyond, you just get strong Ottomans. We have to remember just how good the Spy are, and not just that, just how good this particular Ottoman player is at leveraging the Imam play.
Yeah, Imam just that infinite potential with the healing, right? And he is actually going to pull them all the way across the map now. He's going to put them into a potentially dicey spot, does at least have his own scout out there, so we'll know what the army composition from LucifroN is going to be like. And yeah, I mean, Sipahi and now archers from his side. At this point in time, he's got the full army composition.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised. I thought B might just take the castle play when I saw the deer spawn because, you know, they are fairly close to the base, right? But I guess the counter logic for B is, oh, if I just put my whole army here, you don't get pro scouts.
We do have the warrior scouts, so also resting a little bit. This isn't just your normal scout. This one's like a light horseman at this point in time. So villagers, they're going to have to really be careful. And they can't even really fight back. Typically, if it's only like a single horseman, you can sometimes just pull the villagers and attack with the villagers. But the horsemen, the warrior scouts, they regenerate health very, very quickly. So whenever villagers start hitting them, they're just going to run away, heal back up to full, and then re-engage.
And you might be wondering, why does this particular scout do a lot more damage than the other scout? Well, you see, a standard scout attacks you with a spoon. But a warrior scout, what he does is he duct tapes together 7 spoons and attacks you with it. Now, your next question, Crackety, is going to be, why do they do bonus damage against each other? That's very simple. There's peanut butter on the spoon, and it's a well-known fact in Age of Empires 4 that all scouts have a peanut allergy.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those scenes, right? Like, you call that a knife, this is a knife, and then you smear peanut butter on it.
But yeah, when you go to war, you just like smear the peanut butter underneath your eyes, like kind of like Vietnam camouflage type moment with the grease.
Damage.
So
get
supply
the milk
count
products in against lactose tolerance.
is that the natural Malian defense? They don't just eat the cow, or they just like chuck the milk at their opponents.
Just throw the milk, man. It's gonna work. Man, the supply mass right now, it's growing significantly. He doesn't have any military skills. He's still on the 50 base stone that he has.
Yeah, which I found weird originally, but like maybe the idea was it feels like it was maybe a bait and switch. I don't know. He's moved over now in the mining camp, right? Like, yeah, I thought he had that early and then just bailed on it. But the interesting thing is, like, the Sapahi is the intrinsically valuable player here, especially early on, because obviously your opponent wants to lean javelins with a lightly Thrummer build. Yes, he can build Donzos, but if he fails to ever kill one of these guys, the Imams fix the damage, right? So there is kind of this back and forth teeter-totter where you just keep the Donzo count low by weirdly enough attacking them with the unit they're meant to counter. But this is even better. He finds the javelins and the archers overextended, dives in freely. And reminder, the Sapahi, they do have more HP than standard horsemen. A little bit of an overextension, but he actually hangs around, thinks it's worthwhile to stand his ground, and he might be right there. The chase continues, and LucifroN gets put back in the base.
Those difficult villagers are pulled, but javelin throws right now, they're not really hitting any of the archers. Yeah, the front line from LucifroN's completely eviscerated now.
It's going to get worse soon. B, he's at the point where meta just makes too much sense, right? Because the next step, you need to start diving underneath the TC. And he's already got undermesh, and he's exploiting one of the atypical things we see with Malian players. Malians is not a civ that typically rushes blacksmith timings. So you've got this huge indiscrepancy in DPS exchange by range units.
Mass is just scaling up here. B about to hit the next Vizier point as well. And if he goes for the additional sheep, he's going to be able to remain in feudal age for a long time without needing to switch into a farm transition. Yeah, I do just hear the sheep bells ringing. So it looks like he went for the additional sheep income there. He's going to have a ton of food now accessible inside of his base.
And this is the thing, right? Like, B, I'm pretty sure that was a sheep point he pulled. Just gives so much longevity to the Ottomans. And yeah, it's crazy, actually, when you think about the fact that Ottomans are about to receive quite a significant buff alongside a nerf, right? They're not going to be able to deer shove when the new patch hits, but we'll finally see them actually have deeper options in the Vizier Council. A Vizier Council that in the current meta has been serving them phenomenally well since players have gotten better at leveraging those early imams.
Honestly, KP, I'm a little bit scared of the Akinji Vizier point because getting them in Castle Age, 3 Akinji in Castle Age are actually enough to one-shot villagers.
Oh boy, don't get me started on that, man. Like, I saw that change, I was like, this may be a little bit busted. And also extensive fortifications, by the way. All of a sudden, I think 2TC meta against, like, French is going to be pretty good.
LucifroN, at least, he managed to get a pretty decent army size going now. So will at least have a significant army in order to defend. He was also able to keep the pit mine here alive for a significant time as well, so definitely has paid off for itself. B now, though, is going to rally Sapai over, is going to start torching that one down. Means the Sapai are a little bit out of position, though, potentially, and LucifroN is going to use this timing now in order to regain access over his steer.
Yeah, and this is the tricky part when you want that extra pit mine, right? You're just spreading so wide between playing Pro Scouts and this, and the Imam's down. We are pretty deep in the age. I think we're at the point where it's annoying to lose them, but I could foresee B just choosing Castle now. Like, he scaled a really impressive comp. 16 Sapahi, going to be 20 plus soon.
Yeah, the army count is still in his favor. Losing out on the healing, though, especially in these fights, can hurt him potentially. But yeah, with the army mass, he can still definitely take these fights. The Donzos, though, are going to find him in a difficult spot here. Not enough to one-shot the spy there, though.
He's just trying to pull them out. It's quite interesting. Like, B, you know, we always talk about LucifroN as being the raider, right? It's his signature identity. But like, B's looking to do that to him. He just wants to pull these jabs a bit far out and then dive in with the Sapai flood. Now, we do have the drummer boy involved in the equation as well, which means that if that dive does hit, if the army isn't at home when he goes in, it's never going to leave, right? I've seen this play, and I know you have as well. Like, it's crazy what 15 Sapahi can do underneath a TC in Feudal Age.
Yeah, basically turns all of these Sapahi into knights, and now we are getting that Mammoth Imperial Armory. And LucifroN is floating a lot of wood, but doesn't look like we are going to get like a larger cattle boom coming in anytime soon. He does have one of them out at the moment, as the scouts finally are able to pick up some deer, but the Sapahi already on their return path.
Well, whatever LucifroN wants to do is going to have to get a move on because this is coming in fast. Remember Imperial Armory 14? Let's keep in mind that, with the current map controls it lays, B has a very fluid opening into the mosque, admittedly without those imams for free relic pickups. But it's not like LucifroN's going to be leaving the base anytime soon. Instead, B is going to be heading inside it. Dives underneath the TC. Gonzos are going to be in position to react, so it's just going to be a ride by. Doesn't want to hang around too long here. Might end up getting a bit expensive, actually. A few of them do get pinned. But he keeps the pressure up. Age up is complete. And now an immediate reaction. LucifroN triggers the Farimba.
I gotta say, I didn't expect the follow-up to come in that quickly behind LucifroN, though. Has to be careful. There's still more raids coming in from B. Archer fire, though, on the barracks to alert him in time here. So is going to be able to react just in time. There we go. Javelin throwers in the right position. And now the Sapahi and the Javelin throwers, they're far apart from each other. B, he's just
Archers
not
are
finding
diving.
the right angle to attack.
He's going after the workers on the Farimba. He's going to idle out. He's delaying the timing. He's got veterancy on the way for sets of Sapahi and Archers. Now, this trade-out is getting a bit weird, right? It's just Archers versus Javs. So he's going to have to leave now. He's going to get a burst to maybe attack again. But the problem here is your window's really small because veterancy comes in ridiculously fast for the Malians.
Exactly. So this timing benefit that B has gotten with this earlier age up is almost insignificant here with the age up coming in. Manza Javelins now also in. Is going to be able to run away in time. And now, most importantly, he has the movement speed to, in theory, catch up to the Archers.
LucifroN, I wonder, is he going to try to venture out the base quickly? Because he has to have a feeling that based on map control, it would make a lot of sense for B to be playing the map, i.e. relics. And we can see with God Vision, it's already on the way. First Monk is out and marching out for the good stuff.
Does expand now onto another pit mine. And it looks like we are just going to get that classic Manza Javelin thrower play in here now from LucifroN, as we are seeing more and more of those. Doesn't really have the option at this point in time to scale into the cattle, at least not immediately. That's probably going to come in later down the line. And look at that. All those military skills came up behind all of this as well.
Yep. And this is, you mentioned like the ranches is interesting detail because typically the rancher's value in this type of build order is Sofa Flood. But you don't really want to do that against Ottoman. So it kind of leaves you in a weird position. I almost want to say you kind of feel grateful you don't have to focus on Sofa. Because right now, LucifroN just needs blob and go. It's actually wild and very rare that you see a Farimba play where for the first 2 minutes of that play, the Malian player hasn't even left the base.
LucifroN, though, he does finally have this little bit of breathing room where he is able to just hunker down in his economy, finally start savoring those pro scout. And we do see with the income right now, he does have a significant income lead and is going to find the fight here now in the middle. And the javelin throwers, they're absolutely decimating not just the Archers, but also the Sapahi at the front side.
Yeah, B, he just kind of tried to brute force that in an unusual way. And I mean, if he waited a little bit longer until it was at like 2 or 3 springles, I could see the logic because the Donzos just melt quick enough. This felt like a little bit over-ambitious. I mean, for that, B did keep him contained in the center while he continues to bring relics home. But now LucifroN, sensing the weakness, charges straight for the enemy base. B needs to buy time here. He's going to turn around for the initial exchange, but has lost another springled. Sapahi, they're going to force the fight. Yeah, he brute forces it. Meteor is going to help out a lot here. And the Javelins now stand their ground. Remember, they're going to be slow to attack the Archers, so the Archers should be able to kill the Donzos quick enough. And the Sapahi can then just ride on through with the fortitude. LucifroN has to retreat.
Has to retreat indeed, and Spy, they're so great at just catching up and taking down all of these units. Just the attack speed as well. They don't suffer from the melee brain syndrome that so
and
many
the melee.
GG's gets called.
Beautifully done as well. He does it in great fashion. He was behind at the start of this series, and what a way to clutch up from game 2 to this outstanding game number 3, where once again B makes a statement about his early game Ottoman presence. Incredible.
Man. What a game there. And looking at the food gatherer, just so much idle time caused here by B. Actually, just being able to overtake LucifroN in the food department here. Not really something that you would expect from the Ottomans up against the Malians. And just that large military value lead there with the Sipahi, the dives time and time again, keeping LucifroN on the back foot there as well.
Yeah, I think the other interesting thing here, like I was just thinking about in the last fight, right? Like we saw just how quick those Sipahi were attacking. We have to remember when the DLC dropped, there was a change to make horseman animations a bit cleaner, a bit more fluid. And I think we see how that benefits Sipahi even more because of the fortitude buffer. If you're a micro-focused player, like did you see how swiftly B was just moving? Like stab, move, stab, move. He got so many extra attacks in there that ruined a javelin comp that has quite often not cared about mass horsemen against it because of how good they are at kiting.
Yeah, Horsemen are like one of these units where actually like moving in between attacks just for the repositioning value just helps you out a ton when it comes to sticking onto your opponent, sticking onto those targets. And yeah, I mean, animation canceling is dead, but repositioning still very much important in between attacks.